Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I'm not sure how long I'll actually be able to do this video because it is hot as hell. Literally, it's about 99 degrees. It's supposed to be as high as 109 today. This is the hottest day it's been in a very long time in my life. I don't recall a day expected to be as hot as this in Los Angeles in probably about 6 years, man. I don't know. I don't know if this is a record. I don't think it is, but this is hot as hell. I'm going out because I want to get some oatmeal, and I brought double the water I normally do. I probably will not walk home. I probably will not walk home. And if it gets crazy to me on the way, I'll catch a bus down Lancashire to there if it gets ridiculous to me. But it's about 99 right now. It feels doable. I just want to keep up my conditioning. I know this sounds ridiculous. You're not going to see too many people walking like I'm doing right now. But the day before yesterday, I skipped yesterday, did laundry, stayed in. But the day before yesterday, I was walking around in like 93 degree heat. And I went to Hollywood, climbed up 2 different hills, pretty steep hills in Hollywood. Just trying to get my conditioning going. The way I see it is this. This is what I tell myself. When I don't walk around and face the fury of this heat, the less likely I'm conditioned for it when I need to. And what I see coming is Saturday, I'm gonna have to get out of this room and go to the NoHo Hotel. Maybe other things may come up in regards to that. I might have to sit in the heat if they have something going on where they don't want to process me right away. There's a lot of things that can go wrong in that situation as it pertains to me being stuck in the damn heat. The way I see it is, if I go out here today, condition myself for it, deal with whatever comes with this heat today, maybe skip tomorrow, Saturday I should be even more conditioned for what could be possible if things go wrong. Rather than me being in the house for 3 days straight, and then the first time I go outside is when I potentially could find myself sitting in that heat if something goes wrong. I just feel like you likely condition yourself better for what you have to deal with if you don't shy away from what's going on. And so that's really what it is for me. I feel like I'm getting in great conditioning for the heat over these last 2 weeks, particularly earlier this week. The first 2 days it was like 93, 94, as hot as it got. And I was in it. I walked to and from down Lancashire, sweated it all out, and felt better for it. And I wake up today and I was thinking about this all night, tossing and turning all night, because I'm like, I know I'm not gonna leave the house for 3 days. That undoes all the work that I've been doing over the last 2 weeks and all this walking I've been doing. I don't want to be in the house for 3 days. I'm not in the mood to be in the house like that. So I'm asking God, can you do something to make it so that I'm just not stuck in this house? I don't want to be here. You know what I mean? And so this is what came about. I ended up looking at my oatmeal, realizing I had run out or wasn't going to have enough before the heat comes down. So it was either me go get some today, go get some tomorrow, or get some on Saturday when I'm being displaced from the room. So it's like, I'm definitely not going to do it on Saturday. And potentially if I don't do it tomorrow, I may not even have enough for Saturday morning, for which you definitely going to want food, especially if you ain't left the house. You see what I'm saying? You don't have breakfast and you're going out into that heat. I already foresee how that is more of a problem than me going out today. And the thing about, well, maybe you say, well, why don't you just go tomorrow and skip today? Because tomorrow's going to be the exact same temperature as today. It's supposed to reach as high as 109. So it's like, if one of these 2 days, I got to go out in this to make sure I have what I need. Or I can have it delivered to me. But I'm too ornery. This is where the orneriness comes in, to let somebody deliver my food to me when I know I benefit greatly from the conditioning of going and walking. And if somebody who's trying to get in shape or trying to lose weight, it's ultimately my thinking. So I could go down to the local Target, but I kind of want to get the hell away from North Hollywood for a couple hours. So I'm going to Hollywood. It's going to be hot over there too. It's about 99 over there too, but it ain't supposed to get no hotter than 99. So when I come back here, it will be no less than 104 degrees, probably as high as 110 degrees, possibly. 109 is what they said. You can always expect to go a little higher. Yesterday was not supposed to go no higher than 102, I think it was, and it ended up like 104, 105 or something like that. I think it reached actually as high as 106 yesterday. So that's just the weather, man. That's where we're at. It's going to be this hot pretty much till next Tuesday. And so I'm not going to be shying from it like I did, because shying away from it 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago when it was this hot left me in worse shape. It was a struggle getting back out there that first couple days trying to walk. And so now I'm conditioned for the walk, climbing hills and walking all over the place. I think I'm more likely to benefit from walking right now than I am to be staying in the house for 3 days and then potentially coming to that process that I already described. So that's the thinking, man. I've given this a lot of thought. I give it a lot of prayer. I understand it's the type of heat that you could pass out. It's the type of heat that could, if you have real health problems, it could take you out. Like, this is nothing to play with. But as I was telling God this morning, as I was praying, I don't believe that this is going to go away as it pertains to these temperatures. We're only going to see hotter temperatures as we go forward in the future, is my thinking. So better than to face it now than 10 years from now when our highs may be 125, 130, which I think is going to be coming. So I just want to tell people, man, that the type of temperatures our kids are going to be dealing with in the future, they're going to be a lot hotter than this, man. You see what's going on in Vegas right now? It's like no less than 110 degrees every day for like the next week. My aunt's out there. It's been 109, 108 for weeks. Like, it's a real thing, man. Especially when you live in deserts and valleys, you're gonna deal with the heat, man. And I think about the people in the West Bank and in Palestine, and the type of heat they're dealing with, the type of deserts they got out there. Some of these people don't have the ability to get fresh water and stuff like that. It's like, who am I to, with the resources available to me, shy away from facing the heat when they don't have a right to do that? People who are homeless out here don't have a right to do that. That's not a privilege they have, rather. And so, not to mention that you don't know what's coming next. Your country's engaging in the type of stuff our country's engaging in. I don't doubt that the unprecedented could be possible, is what I'm saying to you, in regards to our own country. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I pray for the best, and I don't want to put anything out there that would otherwise harm people who are listening to me or harm myself. But the unprecedented is possible when you talk about what our country is now being known for doing on a national and international scale. It was hearsay before. Only certain few people knew what America was truly up to, but now it's understood all over the world what our country is engaging in. And I think we have new enemies, is essentially what I'm saying. So that means you have new threats. And that is just what I think it is. So who knows what this Western world gonna look like for us in the future. But better us condition our bodies and minds for things now than to be caught off guard by certain things later. That's my thinking as well. So, man, some other stuff going on. I was sitting up watching King AK-47 Voice of the Streets live feed this morning. He was talking about some random topics of the day. And this is a person in Ohio who often talks about what's going on in hip-hop media, streets media, whatever's going on in the black community. He tries to chime in on. And as I'm listening to it, he mentions that it's popping up in his feed that Rich Homie Quan, a rapper that was famous for doing a lot of music with Young Thug, who's on trial right now, had died of an overdose. And it turns out that is what's going on. That is what's being reported as I'm leaving the house It's disturbing because obviously someone lost their life, but he was brought up in the YSL trial yesterday. And it was in a strange fashion, in a sense that YSL Woody, a famous individual who's going viral for basically being a tell-all in the situation, posed a question to the defendant, Young Thug, from where he was at, from what do you call that? From the prosecution seat or whatever they call that, when you're sitting there having questions presented to you by the lawyers, whatever they call it. And you're not supposed to be addressing anyone in the courtroom. If they tell you to point someone out, you point them out, that kind of thing. But otherwise, you don't see anybody addressing the defendant from those seats. It's like unprecedented. And he addressed Thug, saying something along the lines of, do you have problems with Rich Homie Quan, or something like that. Something of that nature he asked him in a jokingly fashion, and they both laughed. And 24 hours later, Rich Homie Quan dies of an overdose. That situation is unbelievably suspicious. Unbelievably suspicious, man. And I'm not going to be one of those people that pretends to know what's going on with the trial. I'm not following it very closely. I'm not the trial follow guy. I don't particularly find myself interested in that kind of courtroom reality drama. But that right there was something that I saw yesterday myself, watching content, and I thought it was extremely strange that that was going on. Not to mention that the day before that in the trial, it was said that, or it was shown that Thug had wiped his nose at Woody. Wiping his nose in that situation, in that culture, is understood to mean slime. Slime you out, as in kill you. So 3 days later, Rich Homie Quan, who used to be Thug, a right-hand man in music, pops up dead 3 days after he wipes his nose, 1 day after he is posed a question about this same person and laughs about it. I just don't know what I'm supposed to think. That situation looked crazy. Crazy suspicious. And so that's just it, man. Rest in peace to Rich Homie Quan. That situation really looks suspicious. I don't doubt that an overdose could simply be just that, an overdose. Person passes away after taking something they shouldn't. But in this type of scenario, how difficult is it for someone who knows you have a pill problem to slip you something that's ultimately going to take you out? That's the question I pose. I don't know that it would be very difficult, put it like that. So when somebody tells me overdose in a situation like this, I just assume that person was given something, and maybe that something that they were given, maybe people knew that it wasn't going to be any good for that person. Maybe they knew. So that's what is really disturbing as well. Just wondering if there's any merit to the very obvious tea leaves there. Very obvious tea leaves. So yeah, man, that's what I have to say about that. It's strange. And you pay attention to all this stuff that's going on in this community with these trials and people bringing back up the various different things. You know, the Nipsey Hussle thing, we talked a little bit about that. It's just, it's a really strange time, because the internet is telling many tales about stuff that ultimately, in most eras before now, are kept in-house, quiet. And now people get to do homework on live streams and uncover truths that probably would otherwise stay hidden. You get people chiming in from God knows what on various different people's platforms to provide tea leaves and stuff like that. People are solving crimes in real time, and I just think it's a dangerous time uh, for really everybody, man. It's dangerous. I mean, everybody has a camera, everybody has a voice, and that, I don't know, man. That's why I try to be, when I talk about stuff like that, I try to be as vague as I can be. I try to stay out of politics altogether, keep that crap out of my channel. There are certain things that I feel are necessary to try to, chime in on based on the fact that it's on the internet, and I am somebody that people may look to for opinions in our community. But some stuff just be too close to, and it's in this Nipsey Hussle case. I live in the city, man. I know people who knew Nipsey. You understand what I'm saying? So it gets a little tricky for me as a non-affiliate who understands that context is everything, and that I'm not privy to context, nor do I understand just how deep the web can go in certain situations. So it's probably smart for me to be as vague as possible with my thoughts about things. And what's the word you're looking for there, Brandon? I'm trying to figure out the word. It's hypothesis? No, that ain't the word. I'm trying to figure it out. But when you guessing and trying to figure out what's going on, man, just try to be as vague as possible, so that you don't let people believe that you know some things that, or willing to say some things, and I don't know nothing. That's what it comes down to. But at the end of the day, some things you just aren't unavoidable. And what I'm talking about these days is just the peace that's going on both sides, and the red team and the blue team, and people having conversations about trying to become peaceful with some of their oppositions and individuals that maybe they didn't have good rapport with. Maybe there's some bloodshed in the past. It's a lot of stuff that's being said on the internet about peace, and I support that. As a black male, non-affiliate, I think it's a great thing that people continue to engage in the idea of peace. And maybe, just to throw this seed out there, maybe not be so frustrated with those who are not ready to embrace peace right away. Because it is a lot of bloodshed. It is a lot of culture wrapped up in the posturing of getting back at people, and eye for an eye. And some people lost their loved ones very recently. Some people didn't handle those losses very well. Some people are deep in the darkness of those losses and are not ready to receive positivity, because that's what the devil has on their head. And I listen to a lot of people who are on the internet talking about this. Some of them are very frustrated, who are trying to push peace. They're very frustrated with the idea of individuals who are not ready to embrace peace. And I've even heard people mention that they thought that they should discipline people who are not ready to embrace peace, or exile them because they're poisonous. But if you understand the essence of what peace is all about, then you betray that by treating those who are not ready to embrace it that way. You can't fight fire with fire and expect to come out with smoke. It's going to be fire and flames everywhere. I don't know if that's the greatest analogy, but what I'm saying is, you're not going to put out that fire by pouring on more fire. Pouring on resentment and pouring on exile to individuals who are not ready to embrace the truth that we are all better off, not at odds with one another within our communities. It's going to take some time for some people to embrace that. I think the best thing you can do is to change the culture around those individuals who want to embrace peace, or want to embrace not peace, but who want to embrace a further conflict, who don't want things to change. You just got to change things around them. Exiling them is going to just create outcasts who will probably likely band together for the sake of chaos. That's what I think comes of that. Each and every one of these dudes that don't want peace end up coming together to wage war against those who are peaceful, who they deem are weak. That's what comes of that. I don't know where I get the notion this is, so if I'm wrong, don't take everything I say as if I'm an expert. But I just understand how wickedness works. Bad news travels fast. Misery loves company. And when you start talking about within your community individuals who may be broken in nature, who've been influenced since childhood, or our children are being influenced right now by the culture of conflict, you're not going to win no battle trying to win them over by being combative to that for which is overnight with slow change within themselves. They got to see it the way you see it. And if they can't get there because you end up waging war with them because you're trying to force that upon them as if it was forced upon you, then you're going to lose them. That's really what it comes down to. And you're going to lose them in a way that is not structured. And so that's what I want to say to all the individuals who are pushing peace but demand peace onto others who are not ready for embrace it. It don't work that way. The very essence of peace comes with a self-awareness that it wasn't something that you came to overnight. You didn't come to peace overnight. As I listen to some of these people talking about it, you didn't come to peace overnight. You said it yourself. And a lot of referring to people, the specifics who I've listened to, you said it yourself that you used to be crazy and wild out here looking to do this, that, and the third. It took you reaching your 30s, having children of your own, losing people a certain way, and realizing that you don't feel fulfillment within what it is that you thought you did, for you to come to the realization that peace is necessary. Well, if you're not going to let people work that progress through their own lives, and you try to push it on them, or if you try to shun them in such a way to say, well, we're going to discipline anybody who isn't embracing this overnight, you asking them to do something that you didn't ultimately find yourself able to do yourself. And so the people I've heard make this point have often said, we just going to leave them alone. I think that's the way to go. Rather than disciplining individuals for not being able to embrace something overnight, when change don't come overnight, least of all in the culture of the mind. You understand what I'm saying? You got to change the culture around these people. A lot of people are influenced by what's going on around them, by the program that's being stuck to. A man say, I'm going to stand on peace, and then proceed to walk that walk around individuals who are not quite ready to embrace peace. Then they see the cultures changing around them. And otherwise, what it means to stand on something means to stand on the idea that we're embracing this, just like they stand on the idea of embracing that. It took people doing that around them for them to see it as something to stand on. So when you have people standing on the business that's been stood upon around them in violence and get back, and then some couple guys overnight come to some conclusion, or a couple guys over time come to some conclusion that violence is no longer it, you ain't gonna be able to change the minds of those who have seen that being standed upon and now are influenced by that, by forcing it upon them and then saying, well, you know what, y'all poisonous because y'all don't want to embrace peace. No, they're not poisonous. They're standing on what it is they were taught to do. And this is what it is. Now you got to give them something else, and you got to let that sink in, just like you let that violence sink in their mind. You see what I'm saying? They don't come overnight. There going to be some hiccups. There going to be some people who betray that. You got to have that worked into your equation when you're embracing peace. That there's going to be some shooters that don't want to embrace peace. That there's going to be somebody who's going to betray that on both sides. And we got to be ready mentally and as a collective unit for that betrayal, so that we don't unravel what it is we're trying to put together, because the essence of anticipating that should be all inclusive in the idea that peace is to come between people who've been opposed with one another. There's always going to be one dude on one side who wants to kill somebody over there, even though y'all embrace peace for his own reasons. That cannot be what breaks the bond between those who are trying to create the rapport necessary to change the culture amongst themselves and each other. You got to already have that worked into your equation, that there going to be some people who betray this, that we may still lose some people because somebody going to do something stupid. But the bond that we're trying to build and the steadfast nature that we're trying to have here in regards to keeping our eyes on the bigger picture, which is that we want to have peace amongst one another, means that we're going to have to settle those scores without bloodshed as they come. And be thankful that they don't, if they don't. But as they come, already have it worked into your equation that everybody ain't ready for peace. Even if they say they're ready for peace, they've been in a culture of war. A culture of violence. So they're not going to be able to just embrace that, especially when the pressure comes. Especially when somebody may try to get in between the two parties and put those individuals in position to have problems with one another for their own intentions, which is also something you work into the equation when considering what peace is about. There's going to be somebody that's going to want to see a war that may not be within our situation, who may want to infiltrate the situation to undo the peace necessary. But you got to keep your eyes on the bigger picture if that's what y'all trying to do in changing the culture. So that communication between communities and that understanding that we are trying to stand on this just like we stood on that needs to be what is the bigger picture kept eyes on. It can't just be, swaying with the wind in regards to people's compliance universally, because you're never going to have universal compliance on anything. Just like you don't have universal compliance on war, as you can see. Because some people really want peace. And in peace, some people are really going to want war. So that's really what it comes down to, man. You can't get so frustrated or sway with the wind in regards to throwing the papers up in the air and saying forget it, when somebody sways away from what it is that the program is starting to become. Because the culture of what is opposite of that has always been in place. And it's going to take people being completely and utterly disciplined within what it is that you're trying to accomplish and change in order for that change to now be understood to be culture. And so that's what I'm trying to say, man. It's going to be hard. It's going to be setbacks. It's going to be casualties, but it can't just be people saying, well, peace is done because this person over there decided to strike us, when we know that's what the culture's been the whole time. People are going to do what people do, but what you can't do is allow them to think that that's what it is when they make mistakes within what it is you're trying to change. They're going to make mistakes. There are going to be some people who are going to be evil in nature, who's just going to want to see people burn. You can't let them destroy the program of peace with their actions, because they don't set the tone for the culture. It's the collective that sets the tone for the culture. And so that's what I wanted to say. Unfortunately for myself, my message doesn't necessarily get where it needs to go because I'm not an affiliate with any of these programs. But as a black man, I feel like it's my business to a degree, because at the end of the day, if you're looking at this clearly, we're all just people of color in these situations. The only thing that separates you is your agreement to be over there. And furthermore, what is taking place because of it. That's what separates you. Otherwise, you're just another black man. And given the fact that the world is changing the way it is, we're going to have to work together any damn way. And then listen to people talk about what's going on in the inside, so to speak, on the inside. You're forced to work together in that fashion. So you might as well just adapt to what it is that you're forced to do on the inside, on the outside, come together as a united faction of peace. That's the only reason why I even care what's going on with the gangs, because they predominantly my people. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not influenced by gang culture. I'm influenced by the notion that black people ain't gonna kill each other forever. And this is where the black people are, the majority of us. And in this city is involved in these gangs, in these communities. Looking at people that look just like them, saying, oh, that's the opposition. Only thing that separates you is an agreement to stand over there and do this, as opposed to standing over here and do that. That's the only thing that separates you. I don't see nothing different. You see people in these on these YouTube footage videos, oh, he from over there, he from over here, and he from over there. They've been ops for 30 years. You know what I see? 3 black men. I can't tell the difference. Truthfully, as an outsider, y'all not separated by anything real, man. I'm just being honest with you, and that goes for the gangs, Hispanic gangs too. There's nothing real that separates y'all. It's an understanding that separates you, and the cultures within those understandings that separate you. You actually just another person in your race, bro. That's it. I can't tell the difference. If that man said he's from over there, how do I know he's not from over there? Or he's actually from over here? There's nothing on his skin. There's nothing nothing that's going to really be identifiable to a non-affiliate. You understand what I'm saying? There's no identifiers. There's no real separation. It's just the understanding of separation and then the adherence to follow what comes with it. That's what separates us. within these cliques and these communities. You're just a black dude. That's it, bro. Just like him. And if you cover up all your tattoos and y'all all agree to stand the same way, I promise you I ain't gonna be able to tell where that dude's from. I promise you I ain't gonna be able to tell where that dude's from. I promise you I ain't gonna be able to tell where the third dude's from. Y'all just black dudes. That's it. And so the notion that we should be able to come together shouldn't be difficult, since nothing really separating us but these agreements. Just agreements. I'm from over here, we've been from over here, we do this over here, y'all did that to us, so now we got problems with you. As if those identifiers are actually written on your faces. They not, unless you tat them there. Nobody know. I'm not gonna even know where you from till you open your mouth and hear your dialect. For all I know, you from the New York, you could be from the South. I don't know where the hell y'all from. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like these identifiers that seem that people stand on so strong, they're imaginary almost in nature. It's really nothing different about you than him, other than how y'all talk, what y'all wear, and what y'all stand for, and who y'all hate. That's what separates y'all. And it's like this is so lost upon those so deep into the system. Can't wear that, can't go over here, wear that, can't do that. What? Structure is necessary so that we can get rid of these imaginary lines and then form a Voltron, so to speak, together, so that we can rise above what it is that's pressed against us. A lot of us don't want to admit that anything's pressed against us because we're in this fake world where strength equals the notion that we can will our way to power. But the reality is y'all dying over blocks you don't own. Going to jail, making someone else rich off of your flesh. A lot of what it is you're standing on is just as imaginary as these lines that you paint for yourselves. Spending the rest of your lives in prison willingly and having your esteem wrapped up in your ability to stay there, that is warped. You got a real enemy and it ain't the person next to you. That's warped. That's mind control. That is a structure of culture that needs to be undone. You should not have your esteem wrapped up in how long you've been to prison and how many times you've been in there and how well you could structure to the idea of bringing around nothing but men who all do wrong. That ain't nothing to adapt to. That ain't nothing to be proud of. That you survive it means you're strong, but don't get it twisted. That's nothing to aspire to. That's a culture that is in place as poison to further remove us from our duties as fathers, as husbands, as businessmen, as neighbors, as sons. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's a culture put in place by those that hate you, that want you not to be strong. So they make the culture of you having these self-destructive ideas being what's normal. They make that normal. They make that what's promoted. And you continue to play into it because you can't think your way out of it. And I'm saying, yes, you can. That word can't is a lie. Just like you can form together to make peace from within you and your ops, you can form together to make an understanding that what it is you're striving for is meant for your destruction, and that it was put in place by those who hate you to see you just be destructive. Destroyed. No more. And that you don't even know you're at war because you're too busy in this imaginary war with your next best option, which is your brother next to you. You got people in this world that you don't even know, that you can't even see, that are controlling a lot of what happens to you. And you want to wage war against people who don't have any power, who look just like you, who from an outside looking in can't tell the difference? That shit don't make no sense. That you got to unwire the nonsense just so you can come to a space where you can walk down the street in a neighborhood you don't own, which happens to be somebody else's community. It's all mental poison. It's all mental poison. It's not meant to make you strong. It's not meant to make you look good. It ain't meant for you to increase in your numbers. It ain't meant to allow for you to be powerful. It's meant for the opposite. And if you look at the reality of it and how it's been, that's exactly what it's done. It's taking your power from you. Half of your people in jail, half of your people in the ground. Other half on other portion may be on drugs. Few of us raised our way out of that, raised our kids out of that, and we the lucky ones. But that ain't the majority, and it should be. People wonder why I'm so quick to speak on gangs, because ain't nothing but black men. And the evil webs that y'all got going on won't allow y'all to take in information from people who are looking at it from the outside in, but or the webs that you weave that are so sensitive in nature that one person say the wrong thing could send everybody up on a frenzy or everybody into prison, just further reinforces why you need to undo that web. It's too sensitive in nature. You can't even goddamn have a full conversation without risking somebody's freedom or risking information going a certain way that's going to throw somebody into a dirt. Now, man, that type of stuff, you don't want that to be your reality, because the idea is to multiply in numbers, not decrease. So if every little thing has you killing your brother, or every little thing has you risk of going in prison, then you need to undo that for which is so easily falling into in regards to your downfall. And that includes this bottle that y'all be drinking. That includes these drugs and these pills that y'all need to keep taking. If Rich Homie Quan, with all respect to the passing of Rich Homie Quan, I think this is a perfect thing to say. If my mans didn't have a pill problem, it wouldn't be that easy for him to have passed away. They gotta find another way if they after him. You can't kill me off of no damn fentanyl, because I don't take drugs. I say that with pride, but not with a sense of braggadocio. Because I understand a lot of people fall into those things based on experiences that I don't have the unfortunate understanding of. Maybe I'm one of the lucky ones that those drugs weren't in my situation. But the point is, if they are in your situation, then you're more susceptible to these type of circumstances. It's more likely you do die of an overdose. So purge yourself of that crap. Don't make it so easy on your ops to slip you nothing, fam. Get off of that shit. You understand what I'm saying? We shouldn't be saying, oh, rest in peace, Rich Homie Quan. Dude is 34 years old. Black men killing black men, and then these trials that go on based on these webs. You ain't got no power. If you had power, you wouldn't even be in this position. There wouldn't be no reason to put you in jail. Somebody thought up a path to you being in a space where you're influenced by the culture of doing things you have no business doing, so that you would find yourself in jail. And if you are not wise enough to see that is in place, then you're going to always fall victim to that which is not is in your face. It's in your face, but you can't see it. It's culture, man. The culture of turning ourselves into monsters, the culture of deteriorating our bodies within our own free will, the culture of being so quick to not forgive one another, but quick to forgive everybody outside of our situation who've done things maybe to us that is worse. You know what I'm saying? That culture, that is poison. It's mental poison. You be docile against your real enemy and big boy revenge factor against your brother. Don't you know that that's somebody's dream? Somebody dreamt that up, and you're living that culture. You're keeping that culture alive. That's not real. That doesn't come naturally to you if not for the presence of something that's foreign, that you've allowed to become normal within your circumstances of poverty, or your circumstances of desperation, your circumstances of substance abuse, circumstances of just allowing your spirit to go in all different types of direction that allows the enemy in. You got to cleanse yourself of that nonsense to the best of your ability, regardless of your religion, regardless of what it is that your tactics may be. You got to get that shit out of your life so that you're not as susceptible to these type of attacks, so that it's not as easy to tear you down, so it's not as easy to get you to self-destruct. Make your enemy attack you with his body, not with his tactics and his dreams of destroying you. They ain't got to lift a damn finger because you kill yourselves. Give him enough rope, he'll hang himself. That's what we've been allowing these people to do to us. In the shadows, from far away, with influence of what they invest in, and which ones of us they pour their money into to feed us the poison that continues to warp our minds. They play a big part in this, How many of y'all want to spin the block on them? How many of y'all paying attention to what they really doing? Instead of paying attention to your brother who look just like you, I can't tell the difference. Enough. Shit is trash. It's low frequency, and if we were to get on a higher frequency, we would understand how low frequency it is. It's primitive. It's barbaric. You understand what I'm saying? That shit is small thinking. And a lot of people, smart people, are warped up in small thinking. Small thinking cultures that have influenced them to their own detriment. And no matter how much their brains can put together in a fast pace, no matter how articulate they are, they're still dumbed down by the poison that's put in place to make them look at their brother as ops and look at their sister as worthless and look at their enemy as untouchable. That shit is over with. That is over with. And with every passing day, we have more and more data to why we need to do away with these cultures. More and more people passing away in violent crimes to the hands of their own brother, while people like George Zimmerman continue to walk the streets comfortably in neighborhoods of God knows where. You could touch them though. I know that, but you won't. It's a running damn joke. Y'all ain't gonna touch George Zimmerman, but you'll get back at your brother fast. Kill him and his whole family from hurting your people. Only for a cop to come by, step on your brother's neck, and you don't even do nothing. You look at him, you chill on that. That's poison. You're docile. You're trained to never point your attention at anything other than yourself so that they can kill you off without lifting a damn finger, without actually having to face you head on. And that ain't just for black brothers, that's for Spanish brothers too. If y'all ain't get it, I don't see a difference there either. And listening to individuals talk about race relations, I am living proof that I don't even understand how that's even a problem. I was raised around just as many Hispanic people as black people. Sometimes my Hispanic friends have to make me be reminded that I'm not amongst my people in order for me to not feel comfortable. That's how comfortable I am around them. When they're not as comfortable around black people is when I remember, oh yeah, there's a separation. Because I wasn't raised with that. Some of the first people I was ever around was Hispanic. Babysitters, children. My earliest memories had Hispanic people around me. All of my earliest memories. Like literally. So for me, it's like, yo, I don't separate black and brown. If my brown brother's offended by something, I'm kind of offended with it too. I don't particularly like when people make fun of they tone or they talk a certain way around them. Even if it's coming from my people, I feel like it's uncomfortable for me because I feel they'd be offended. That's how real it is to me. I remember my dad said something that rubbed me the wrong way back in the past about his position on Hispanic people, and I had to remind myself that he wasn't raised around them like I was. He didn't have Hispanic mothers nurturing him as a toddler like I did. You understand what I'm saying? In preschool, like I did. I don't understand when a Hispanic person don't like black people because I don't know a world where they wasn't around. You understand what I'm saying? That's just my own personal walk. There are many black people in this city that don't have that walk. And you can see it online as they talk about it. They don't know nothing about that. That's not how they operate. It's us versus them in some of these neighborhoods. It's the complete opposite of what I'm used to, and I respect that. I don't like it, but I keep my distance. And I don't pretend to be too familiar like I had growing up as a child. I respect that certain people don't know how to approach me because they are used to a certain culture that comes from within my people. But what they come to find out if they know me is I'm as comfortable around y'all as I am around my own people. Until you make me feel otherwise. Which is why I lived in the Hispanic community for 8 years in my last place I lived. So for me, it's like, I don't understand the separation. When I'm talking about my people, they're in it. I have an understanding that they're the Native Americans in a lot of cases anyway. Spanish-speaking Native Americans. They didn't kill off the natives. A lot of them are Spanish speakers. A lot of them are mixed black people. A lot of them are mixed white people. The natives are still here. Those they owe the land to are still here. We're just mixed. We just don't identify as Native American. We just don't know nothing about our Native American blood in a lot of cases. And we're still here. And so what I'm telling y'all is this. Ain't nothing I'm talking about in regards to the black community don't apply to the Hispanic community as it pertains to the mental poison that would otherwise opposition you against your own people. That shit applies to y'all because I see that is what y'all engaged in too, to a degree. Maybe in a different way, but it's still the same poison. Y'all gotta unlearn that shit. You gotta get that out of your system. You gotta come together with your brothers and sisters, take pride in one another, and then make peace with others. And when you get enough friends, then you'll have the strength to really take on the enemy that's ultimately coming against you, who's looking to divide and conquer you. Ain't nothing wrong with being proud of who you are, but identify who you are properly. You are not imaginary identifier with a flag attached to it. You are black person. You are brown person. From here, from there, from any freaking where. Believe me, the cop sees you the same way. I saw a meme this morning. With respect to my Dominican people, I don't know y'all history. I don't know how I get down. But I know a lot of y'all have black skin, brown skin. The cop sees that Dominican person say, I ain't black. The meme said, yeah, whatever, N-word. Because they don't see you no different. White supremacy sees you as black. Now, you may have identifiers and qualifiers and all these different things that may be true. But at the end of the day, if your skin is brown or dark brown, you are considered a black person. It is what it is. So by way of your identifying and saying that you're this or believing that you're that or having these truths about you that are imaginary in nature, they don't separate you. When people are looking upon you, they see black. That's it. So at the end of the day, you gotta have some respect for that for which is perceived within you. And to know that these identifiers, these separators, they're not real in nature. You can say you from up there, you can say you from down there, you can say you wear this, you can wear that, but you're just a black person, you're just a brown person. That's it, bro. And when it's time to rope us all together for whatever reason, they're gonna put you together. And they ain't gonna look for you to say, oh, let's see where he from. Oh, nah, if they coming at you, they're coming at you. Either you can come together or we could be fighting each other while they fighting us too. That's how that goes. But make no mistake about it. Those identifiers and those separation cultures, they're imaginary. You got to agree to those just like you got to agree to peace. At the end of the day, man. So that's what I got to say, man. I promote peace. I support peace amongst people of many kinds, man. And if you can figure it out, that's probably what you should be doing. Because whether you know it or not, we all up against the same enemy regardless. And if you can't identify that enemy properly, he definitely going to defeat you. That's a fact. BDL 44, thank you all for watching. I'm out.